Hello everyone, welcome to another Versus video. I am BBD here with
CVM.
CVM.
I had to remember what my name was for a minute.
It's a little hard sometimes. We were playing a battle of barely Boros versus much more Boros.
Red-white devotion.
5-color devotion.
5-color devotion.
And it looks like CVM has a basic land for each of the colors in this deck.
I do.
What's the plan? Why do you have all these lands
So we're going to play the basic land game again and see if you can brick on a 60%er.
Well, so far I brick 60% of the time, 100% of the time.
Every time.
So
I have to decide if I want to go random or actually pick one. And I think that I'm actually going to pick one this time.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
I think that I have a read on him.
He's got the read.
And we're going to go with this one right here. Because I think that one is going to stump him.
Forest. All right. Stump me. He stumped me. Mountain. Swamp.
Oh, man, really?
Did I get it?
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Finally.
All right,
Jeez.
I get to be on the play, yeah. Always bet on black. That's a motto that I've always learned, so.
I should have known that. I almost went with the plains.
All right, we get to be on the play. And okay, this hand is I like to refer to this hand as please don't have something that blocks really well. But yeah, this hand is pretty sweet. Just a bunch of aggressive stuff. So yeah, we're gonna keep this one.
So this hand, it isn't entirely aggressive, but I feel like in this particular matchup, I'm probably not the beatdown deck, and it has a good mix of spells and lands. So even against an unknown opponent, I think that I'm going to keep. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'll end up keeping this hand anyways. So I'm going to go ahead and keep this hand, and BBD is going to be on the play.
All right, we're going to go ahead and lead off with this. Basically, we could play this, this, or this, and I want to lead with this because it's the best card against like Rakdos, Cacklers, and things like that that his deck plays. So Soldier of the Pantheon, go.
All right. So he does have a soldier. But I still think that I want to unleash this.
Okay, we're going to gain a life when he...
For now, just because I can't block the soldier. Like, it can block Dryad Militants later on, but I think that I would much rather... Actually, you know what? I'm not going to unleash it.
Okay.
The leash will be on, and...
Fully leashed.
We're going to hang back. Your turn.
All right.
Just because, like, if you aren't able to battalion your Boros Elite guys...
This is a pretty good draw for us. That's going to definitely come in handy like later in this game. So what we're going to do is we're going to play this. We could play this, but I like to play this because it actually disguises some of the cards in our hand. When you like later in the game, if we want to cast this card and have to shock ourselves with this, it pretty much like loudly announces, "Hey, we have this in our hand." But if we do it right now, our opponent's not going to put us on this card, and it's likely that we're going to end up shocking ourselves anyway at some point this game, so it might as well go for it now. So I'm going to shock myself down to 19. I'm going to attack with a soldier.
18.
He cannot block. And then I'm going to play a Soldier of the Pantheon and a Boros Elite. You're up.
All right. So I'll play a land. Now I have an option of just using one of these now, or I can just play this and hold it back on defense. So I think that I'm going to be better off just using one of these now so that his Boros Elite isn't able to get battalion, because if I just play this and hold it back on defense, like he can still just attack through and brave the elements if I want to try and block. He can make his guys indestructible, and I think that at this point it's going to be best just for me to mortars a soldier.
Okay.
And get it off the field for now, and then I'll pass the turn.
Right. Draw. So we can't really attack with our Boros Elite here because he's just going to trade with his Cackler. We don't want to do that. But we still can attack with our Soldier of the Pantheon, which is what we're going to do. Put him at 16, and then we are going to play a Daring Skyjack and a Dryad Militant, and say go. We're just basically he's already used the mortars. We're going to be dead if he gets to overload another one later. So we're just trying to put as much pressure on as we possibly can.
All right, so that isn't a very good draw for us. I much would have rather had to have a white source at this point, because he only has one card in his hand. I just need to take the least amount of damage possible here, and so I have, I still have, these same options here, and I think that I want to use this on his Soldier of the Pantheon. That makes it so that if he wants to try and push through damage by giving his creatures Battalion, he's going to have to let his Dryad Militant die. Now that isn't the case if he happens to have a Boros Charm or a Brave the Elements. And even then, if he has a Boros Charm or Brave the Elements, this card is even worse because I'll just be taking more damage. So I think that for now I'm just going to I can Mortars the Soldier, or I can just Mortars the Skyjack. If I Mortars the Skyjack, he can still attack with his 3 creatures. I'll lose the Militant. Yeah, I'm actually just going to get rid of the Skyjack.
Okay.
And then I'll pass. I think that will save me the most damage in the future.
This is actually a pretty good draw for us. This draw lets us attack with all our guys, even though we're going to lose our Militant to his Cackler. We're still going to basically have 3 creatures that we can attack with next turn as well. So we're going to go ahead and attack and Battalion.
I'll block.
All right, so you take 5 and go to 11.
Yep.
Actually, one of your Mizium Mortars is exiled, by the way.
Yeah.
Because of the Dryad Militant. Not relevant, but it's worth playing correctly. And now we'll play Mutavault. So now we can use Mutavault to turn on our guys again next turn. And say go.
Alright, so that still isn't a very awesome card for us. And so I can play this, which will allow me to trade off with one of his guys if he sends his team. And I think that's going to be the best, because I like waiting to try and get value off of the devotion just isn't going to do much here. So I'm just going to Fanatic and 1 you.
Okay, 18.
And then I'll pass.
Let's see. Yep. Draw. Alright, we will activate our Mutavault and attack and Battalion.
I'm going to block here.
Okay, so you take 4 and
I'll go to 7.
7. Boros Elite down. And we're just going to play a Dryad Militant and pass the turn.
Alright, so the way he's playing, being very aggressive, leads me to believe that he probably has a Boros Charm in his hand. And so at this point we need to draw a white source, preferably here. And that is not a white source. So I can play either of these creatures, but either way I am just dead to a Boros Charm regardless. But we have to play it anyways.
Alright, I saw it.
Go ahead.
Okay. And draw a card. Yeah, we're just going to we're going for it here. We're going to activate our Mutavault and send the team on in.
And I will block Mutavault with the Ash Zealot.
All right, so first strike damage, Mutavault down, go to 3, and yeah, Boros Charm.
Yeah, Give me Chain to the Rocks, never drew a White Source. And here we are for game 2. I get to be on the play. Maybe Boros will make an appearance. I heard that guy's pretty good.
I've heard the opposite, actually. Heard he sucks.
And I have 6 lands, so I'm going to mulligan.
I have 6 lands, minus some. So I'm going to keep. This hand is actually not particularly great. Like, these cards are not castable. This card's actually also not castable currently, but we have a pretty good opening with these 3 cards is like a very good opening. And we're on the draw, so we have time to draw what we need to cast these. And I think these cards are actually pretty good in this matchup going long. I've actually played against this deck a lot on Magic Online, and these 2 cards were really important for me in winning. So,
right, let's see if our 6 is any better. Oh man. I wish I was on the draw. So this is, I feel, one of the traps with these Scrylands is you have a hand with a Scryland and a bunch of awesome 2-drops. But if you brick on a land, you're just like going to end up losing. But I honestly don't really feel like I have a good shot at winning this on the play on 5 anyways. And if I can draw into a second land, I have a very good chance of winning this game. So I'm actually going to keep this hand.
okay.
So we're going to play this temple.
All right.
And we're going to take a second and pray since we're at the temple.
Can I begin a chant? Bottom, bottom, bottom,
And
bottom.
we're going to bottom it.
All right. Well, it's not land, so bottomed it.
Apparently BBD is a fan of interactive games of Magic the Gathering.
I love
And I'll pass.
to beat the crap out of my opponent. All right, draw. Not amazing, but could be good depending on how this game goes. Soldier. Get that soldier boy out there.
And that is not what we wanted to see.
We getting cackled? I'm gonna gain a life.
I'm not gonna unleash.
Okay.
Your turn.
Draw. Also not what we were looking for, but hopefully be all right. We will get on in there with soldier.
18.
And we are gonna play Daring Skyjack. You're up.
Go.
Draw. So we have a couple options here. We can activate Mutavault, which lets our Skyjack get Battalion, but it doesn't advance our board at all. Or we can just play another one and not attack with a Skyjack this turn. I think I like that better because it plays... we do less damage this turn, but we have a better... We're better off like in following turns. So I'm just going to attack for
16.
And I'll just play another Skyjack and pass. We'll gain a life.
No unleash. Your turn.
Alright. And draw a card. Okay. I think our best bet here is to just play the spear. And we're going to attack in Battalion, so it's 11.
Alright, well, I go to 5, and I'm dead next turn regardless of what I draw.
Okay.
So.
Alright, we are back for our sideboarding here. I actually have a lot of options of what to bring in and out, and I'm still not entirely sure what the best thing is. I cut Dryad Militant. I think Boros Elite's a better 1-drop against this deck because Battalion actually lets it attack through his creatures. Dryad Militant can just never attack through his creatures. Like, you're never going to attack through a Ash Zealot or Frostburn Weird with a Dryad Militant, and at best they're trading with a Rakdos Cackler or a whatever that guy is, the Burning Tree Emissary. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So like at best case scenario, you're trading with like one of his worst creatures. So I really think that Dryad Militant, even though like we want to be very aggressive, I think Dryad Militant is just doesn't do enough, and we have to cut it. I want to bring in a lot of my removal spells against him. I think Banisher Priest in particular is very good against him because it represents a clock and keeps him off devotion. Mizium Mortars kills like Frostburn Weirds. Pacifism's very good against like Boros Reckoner. Helix also kills like Frostburn Weird and is a good finisher, just going to the dome. And then Glare of Heresy, I have 2 in my sideboard and I'm only bringing in 1, and I'm not 100% sure. It's very good against Chain of the Rocks and Boros Reckoner, but those are the only targets in his deck. So I don't think we want to play a card that can just rot in our hand and do nothing. But I still think we want to have 1 because those are 2 of his better cards against us.
I agree.
So I definitely want to cut the Dryad Militants, and the other 3 cards I'm not entirely sure of. Like, I think Frontline Medic's good against him, but at the same time, we're bringing in Banisher Priest and War Leader's Helix, so we don't want to get too top-heavy. So it's either cutting a Frontline Medic or cutting in a Johnny, and I think a Johnny might be a little bit better because it can let us attack even when he's played a bunch of defensive creatures, like by the -3 letting us go over the top. And then I'm cutting 2 Boros Charms because we're really only using Boros Charm for the 4 damage part. It does counter Amizium Mortars, but usually if we're getting to that point in the game, we're probably not going to win anyway. And we still have Brave the Elements to do the same thing as well. And I think we still want to keep a few because we do want to be able to close out the game when it goes long. But I don't want to get my hand clogged with Boros Charms. And War Leader's Helix does a lot of the same thing, but also kills a creature. So I think it might be better to have a Helix instead of a Boros Charm.
As far as what I'm bringing in for the Devotion deck, Hammer and Fanatic Amogus both just seem like they're very slow against you. They don't do a whole bunch. I am not the beatdown. Like, you have 12 1-drops and a bunch of aggressive 2-drops. So I just want as many removal spells as possible. Because you have no way to refill your hand if I happen to actually stabilize the board and start to pull ahead. So I'm bringing in the additional 3 Chain to the Rocks and a 4th Mizium Mortars. And hopefully we can draw the right card to the right time this time.
Like land, for example?
That'd be nice.
All right, we are back for game 3. Let's see if...
Let's do it.
Let's see how the cards fall.
Trust in the heart of the cards. All right. Well, so far it's not looking too good for us. And I don't have any land.
Our hand is similarly a little loose. I would love to keep this hand because if we do draw lands, it's awesome, but it's just way too risky to keep a hand like this.
All right, here we are back looking at our 6-card hands. And oh, why does it do this to me?
The world's out to get you, CVM.
Yeah. I mean, I have a removal spell, so I'm going to keep.
All right, well...
I hope he goes to 5.
I've heard the phrase, no gamble, no future, and I love the future a lot. In fact, I would like to go back to the future, so I'm going to keep this hand. Looks surprisingly a lot like our very first hand, but we're just going to hope to get there. So this hand's really awesome if we do.
Go.
Did we get there? Question will be next turn. Did we get there? Old Sacred Foundry, Nykthos. All right, Boros lead down.
Go ahead.
Down and out. No, he will not be attacking for 1 next turn. We will be playing a Daring Skyjack, though. Go for it. All right, so our draws have been exceptional this game. Exactly what CVM wants to hear.
Just the exact opposite on this side.
All right, chaining it up.
Go ahead.
And, ooh.
It's probably preemptive on the removal spells, but...
I think we just jam old Frontline Medic, take him out to town. Next turn, if I draw a land, I can just do this. Old Rakdos Cackler making a surprise appearance. Have not seen much of that guy. Or have we?
I'm going to unleash it this time.
All right.
This game feels like it doesn't matter. Feels like I might have to be attacking at some point.
Okay, so... We can play this or this. And I think I like playing this more because it just shuts off this Cackler completely. It just prevents him from being able to attack us, which and it definitely sets up playing this next turn a little bit more. But at the same token, it might also be right to just get this out. This is the more expensive card. It might be right to just get this out and play as early as we can. Honestly, not 100% sure. But we're going to go with this line here. We're going to play Soldier of the Pantheon, get Mutavault out and about, and get in for 5.
15.
And you're up. Boros Guildgate.
Go ahead.
Right. Draw. Interesting. So we're put in the same position again, actually, the exact same position. And I think we just want to do as much damage as we can. I guess playing this actually does the same amount of damage this turn and sets us up better. So I think this time I actually am just going to play the Spear. And then we're going to send in for 7. Shoot, 8. You're up.
I will attack with my Cackler.
18.
And we'll play a Frostburn Weird.
Okay. I'm going to gain a life. 19.
And it's your turn.
Alright, so draw a card. That's a pretty solid draw. It doesn't let us cast any of these cards, but it's very good both with Spear and Frontline Medic in the mix. So we're going to play Mutavault and activate a Mutavault. And we're going to attack with these 3 and trigger his Battalion ability.
Well, I will block here.
Yeah, you actually can't block that guy.
Oh yeah, this guy.
Yep. So you're going to take 7 again and go to 1.
Yep.
So now we have to think about basically like how can we lose this game. And I think the only way we can really lose this game is if he has like Burning Tree into Mizium Mortar's Overload. And so for that reason, I think I maybe don't want to play this out because I don't want to get blown out by that. And this will be a very good threat in that, like, assuming that he has that, this would be a very good follow-up threat because it would have protection from all this stuff. So I'm actually just going to pass the turn here.
Well, I can't actually cast anything that can block your Soldier of the Pantheon.
Okay.
So, I'm dead.
All right, we are back for Game 4. Hopefully CVM has a more reasonable draw this time around. We can have a real game of Magic.
It's not looking good. Alright, that's better. I will keep.
Our hand's not great, but at the same time, it's not a mulligan either.
Alright, we're going to scry.
Okay.
And I think this card is fine, so I'm just going to keep it on top.
Okay. We are just going to play a Boros Elite. Say go.
I'm just going to play an sell it. And it's your turn.
Okay. And draw. So the way this game's going to play out is we're going to play...
I actually probably should have attacked.
Okay. 18.
Do that now before you say anything.
Sure. The way this game's going to play out is probably going to go like this into this. So, well, we're definitely going to be playing this guy next turn. And so I guess the question is which land do we play and whether or not we want to cast either of these cards. I think at this point in the game, we have to hope to draw stuff. So I think we actually want to just play this turn, and basically by playing this card, we save our mana for future turns. And that card's the card he has in play is kind of annoying anyway. So I guess we're just going to pacify that guy and attack for 1. It does suck that he gets to just get devotion off of that anyway, but
My turn?
Yep. At least now, like, we don't have to deal with that threat anymore. Plus, we're not taking any damage from it. All right, another Ash Zealot. We're at 16.
Go ahead.
Draw. That could be a reasonable threat on turn 4. We're just going to attack for 1 here, and then our play is just going to be playing a frontline medic. So you go.
All right, so he's at the point now where he is able to turn on his frontline medic. So I think that even though I did just draw this, we're a little choked on mana, even though we're able to generate 4 red here. So I think that I actually just want to play these 2 for now. So I'm going to unleash this guy.
Sure.
We're going to chain the medic
Okay.
onto this mountain. And then we'll attack for 2 with the zealot.
All right, 14.
And it's your turn.
All right, draw a card.
So another mana next turn. Another land. Any land would be very, very good next turn.
So we have the option, we have a couple options here. We can play either of these 2. Playing this lets us play this and attack with Mutavault. Playing this sets us up for future turns. I think in this matchup we want to be like as aggressive as we possibly can. So I'm actually just going to activate my Mutavault and attack for 3.
15.
Puts him at 15, and then we're going to play a Daring Skyjack. You're up.
Okay, so now that we drew this, it lets me, I can just play all 3 of these cards. But the question is, do I want to use this on the Skyjack now, or do I want to save it for a more problematic card? So because I'll have 2 of these in play attacking, I think that I kind of just want to just do it now. Or do I even care about that Skyjack yet? So you can swing back for, if you want to. I actually think that I just want to save this for a Banisher Priest or something along that nature. Because if he wants to trade his Skyjack for my Cackler, I'm actually fine with that. Alright, so we're going to make 5 red.
Okay.
We're going to play a Zealot and a Frostburn Weird. And
Okay.
attack with all 3 of these.
So yeah, we're not going to block. Our plan to win is to just outrace him, and blocking does not factor into that. So we're going to take 6 and go to 8.
And then I'll pass.
Okay. And hopefully we draw something sweet. That is not sweet. Yeah, this is kind of a rough situation for us. I guess we're just going to scry. Yeah, I can see that helping us next turn, so we will keep that on top. And we unfortunately just have to pass the turn. We can't really attack into his Frostburn Weird. We could send everything, but we're just dead on the swing back, so doesn't work out.
All right, so this card we do for the turn doesn't allow us to be more aggressive. He could have a Brave the Elements here, and that would let him kill 2 creatures if he has a Brave. So I think that I just want to cast both of these. So to do so, I have to burn this, which I think I'm fine with. So we will tap for a colorless.
Okay.
Make 7 red.
Yep.
I'm going to play the Burning Tree Emissary.
Okay.
Oh yeah, 9 red. Play the Burning Tree Emissary. So I have 8 red and a green. I'm going to chain the Skyjack.
Okay. That's fine. Yeah.
And then we're going to...
Yeah, I'm dead.
Okay. I was just going to pump this once and then attack.
Yeah. All right, so we are back for game number 5. I get to be on the play, and that is pretty awesome. And this hand is pretty good, so we are definitely keeping it.
This hand's pretty good too, so I'm going to keep this one as well.
All right, Soldier Boy. What you got about that?
Got a soldier, huh?
Yep.
All right. So I can just play this guy, but I don't think it actually does anything. So I would much rather just play this now, so that I can play future, spells in the future.
Guildgate. There it is.
Go ahead.
All right. I can't possibly win this game. He's got the Guildgate power on his side, so.
It's not an Orzhov Guildgate. It is a lesser of the gates.
Well, we're gonna bash on in. Get ya. I'm gonna play Precinct Captain, making a rare appearance.
Yep.
You're up.
All right. So I could play this, but that runs the risk of him having a removal spell for it, and then he's able to get in with his Precinct Captain, and that's just not something that I'm fine with happening right now.
And I'm pretty okay with that.
So I think that I just need to chain him to some rocks, and then I can cast this. I have to decide whether or not I want it to be unleashed or not. So I think that...
Either way, I'm going to gain a life.
Yeah, either way you're going to be gaining a life. Just have to decide if a 1-1 or a 2-2 is where I want to be this game. And I think that... And you have 4 cards?
Yep.
So I'm not going to unleash him.
Okay. Fully leashed.
I think that if I was on the play, I would probably unleash him here, but since I'm on the draw, I'm definitely not.
That's a pretty sweet draw. We will not be playing it now, but it will definitely be something that it'll definitely be good next turn, I believe. We're going to start by scrying with our Temple. Yeah, I think we definitely want that card because there's a lot of cards in this deck that are pretty annoying for us to attack through. So we're going to keep that on top. We're going to attack 4-2. 16, and we're going to play the loneliest Boros Elite we've ever played. You're up.
All right, so here So we've already, like, with the spell that we're going to play this turn is going to make it so that his Boros Elite isn't able to attack. So I think that I just want to try and get in with this now.
Yep, down to 20.
And then we'll play a Boros Reckoner.
Alright, I'll gain a life.
Yep. And it's your turn.
Alright. Draw a card. We can't really attack with Boros Elite here unless we do this, but I don't think we want to do this. I think we just want to put ourselves at 19, play a Spear of Heliod. Oops. And then attack for 3. Go down to 13.
Yep.
And then we'll pass the turn.
Alright, so that's actually a pretty good card here. So we have a couple different options. God, this card is so awkward in this deck. So I can attack with my Boros Reckoner. So since he shocked himself and left up a mana, that leads me to believe that he probably has a Brave the Elements, which is still a little weird, since I don't think there's a good spot. I guess to use it to save his Soldier or his Boros Elite if I have a removal spell. But I can attack with the Reckoner, puts him at 16. 7. Puts him at 9. I go to 11. Alright, so 16, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this would put him at 9. Or I could just put him at 16, play this tapped, and then play another one of these. 10. And there he's going to end up being forced to block the following turn, otherwise he'll just be dead.
Doesn't sound very nice.
And if I happen to draw another land, then I could play all 3 of these. So I think that I actually like that better. So I'm just going to attack with my Boros Reckoner.
Alright, 16.
And then I'll play this tapped, and then play another Boros Reckoner.
Go to 17.
And then I'll pass the turn. And I forgot about the life gain off of the Soldier of the Pantheon, so that might make things a little awkward.
Alright, well, that's not super exciting. We're just going to send on in with our Soldier of the Pantheon.
10.
10. Play another Boros Elites. And we are going to pass the turn.
Alright, so a land here would be very good. So if he has a Brave the Elements here, I'm just dead, actually. And since I didn't do the math with the Soldier of the Pantheon, I can't kill him this turn.
It's a lot of multicolor spells you got in your nearly mono red deck.
Yeah.
CDM.
Yeah.
Gaining that life. And I think Soldier of the Pantheon is basically one of the reasons this deck's even good. Just it's so good against so many
it's
decks.
Very good against a lot of things.
Like when you Chain of the Rocks the Precinct Captain, it might have honestly just been better to get the Soldier. Like.
Yeah, But if you had like any type of follow-up removal on my Boros Reckoners, then
Yeah.
there's just like I had a Frostburn Weir that I could have played that turn instead, but even still. All right, so again, I can just play these two, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 him down to 7. And he doesn't even have to trade a Boros Elite with my Cackler now because I didn't unleash it, which is a little awkward. So I guess that maybe I just play these two and pass. Well, I guess I just have to play like he doesn't have Brave the Elements, since there's no way that I can not die from it.
Alright, I'm going to gain a life.
Yeah.
18.
And then I'll 10 you.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yep, I'm at 8.
And then I will attack with both Boros Reckoners.
Alright, I'll take 6 and go to 2.
And then I'll pass.
End of turn, I'll destroy one of them.
Sure.
Alright, well, we do have a Brave the Elements. So we are going to Brave for red, attack with our guys, and battalion. Alright, we're here for the conclusion of our battle of which Boros deck has more non-red and white cards in it. CVM won that battle, but as for the actual games themselves, it actually didn't go the way I expected. When I played the matchup a lot, everyone is playing that Red Devotion deck on Magic Online, so I ended up having a chance to play against it a lot last night, and the games went a lot more like Game 4, where you just had like a bunch of increasing devotion, used the Nykthos to do some dirty things, and I just got destroyed. A lot of the games that I was playing were going like that, and there were a lot of games where I was winning kind of how Game 5 went, where it looked like I was just super, super far behind, but like a Brave the Elements and like, you know, a trusty Boros Charm or a War Leader's Helix were good enough to get like exact season or just barely enough. I mean, they call it barely Boros for a reason. Just barely getting in enough to finish the job before I died to like a horde of Fanatics and Stormbreath Dragons and stuff. So, I mean, I think the matchup can be pretty close. I do think I have to side with the Frostburn Weird deck, though, in a matchup where the other deck's playing a bunch of 2-1s. So.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like games where I had a mix of lands and spells, I had a very, very good chance at winning. And that last game, I think that if I were to unleash my Cackler, I actually have a chance to win, because I can put you to 2 on that last attack. But if I have the Cackler that can attack for 2 damage, you have to trade, and then you can't kill me on the swing back. So, like, just really small things like that where I felt like most of the time it was right to not unleash my Cackler, but you know, it turns out on turn 7 or turn 6 I would need it unleashed so I could attack you for the win with it.
Yeah,
so
and like that's
really small things like that tend to matter a lot. And with decks like this, you have to get everything out of every card because you don't have Sphinx's Revelation, you don't have a lot of tricks. You just have to jam the value where it is.
Yeah, the same thing with this deck too. You can't throw away damage anywhere. You have to get as much damage in as you possibly can. You have to get as much value out of each card as you possibly can. Like Dryad Militant, not a scary card on turn 7. Like you have to find a way to do as much as you can and set up ways for the top of your deck to deliver you a win. And yes, same thing with that deck too. You know, with the whole Cackler thing, like I think not unleashing it is right a lot of the times. I think I am definitely the aggressor in this matchup. You're definitely on the defensive. You're the one who's playing like the 1/4s and stuff. You can turn the corner very fast. Fanatic Amogus does a lot of damage. Like we saw it do 10. It did a lot, we saw it do 10 in that game. It could have done more in like some of the other games too if you had it. So yeah, you can turn the corner fast, but you definitely want to play defensively up to that point.
For sure. So for those of you going to Dallas for the Open this weekend, I expect to see a lot of both of these decks.
Same.
Do you think that this is one of those times where people should jump on the bandwagon and tweak it a little bit, or do you think something like Mono Black Devotion is still fine against these types of decks and people should just stick with that?
I think Mono Black Devotion, surprisingly enough for a monocolored deck, is adaptable. I actually think the Mono Black Devotion is good against the Red Devotion deck. The matches are usually pretty close, but like one of the best threats in your deck is Stormbreath Dragon, and Doomblades don't care about Stormbreath Dragon.
Yeah.
And then some of the other threats, like the Burning Trees and the Ash Zealots, can't attack through a Night Veil Spectre or a Grey Merchant. So I think the games can be can be very close. A lot of it comes down to like Perforos or Assemble the Legion, but that deck doesn't play either in the main deck. Yeah. So I know from the mono black perspective, the games I was losing was when they had those two cards. But I think that the Red Devotion deck's good against a lot of the other field. Actually, one deck that I think is going to be very good this week is the mono blue Devotion deck.
What's that?
Because I think the mono blue deck's very good against like the Boros deck, the mono red aggro decks, a lot of those decks that are springing up. And the matchup that I don't think is very good for the mono blue deck are decks like mono black Devotion. I think is a bad matchup for it, but that deck seems to be waning in popularity as like some of these aggressive decks are building up to prey on it. So it definitely could be time to go back to Master of Waves and Biden of Thassa.
Those cards both seem very good against this deck.
Yes.
For sure. What did you think of the White Weenie or barely Boros deck that Mr. Beatdowns won the tournament with?
I think the deck's very powerful. The fact that I'm actually winning games with it definitely means it's a powerful deck because I'm not good at playing these kinds of decks for the most part. And yeah, I think the deck has a lot of power. It's definitely one of those decks where you have to get there early. Like, you're not going to win a late game. None of your cards are good later on in the game. But it definitely has a significant amount of power. Like, Soldier of the Pantheon's a hell of a card. Precinct Captain's very good. And I think Spear of Heliod, even as we saw in these games, was like, I felt one of the best cards in the deck, and I definitely want a second one. That was something I mentioned in the deck tech as well. But just every time I have a Spear, I feel like it's very good.
Definitely. Well, there you have it. We have the matchup that apparently didn't actually happen in LA. I believe Mr. Gates had to leave to go to work, so he just conceded to Benny's and gave him the matchup. But from the looks of it, if they would have played out and James's hands would have been even remotely as good as mine, he would have just got crushed anyways. So I don't know. I feel like the deck's very good. I'm a little sad that we weren't able to actually see how the deck could perform. Like I had one game where I had a decent draw on one. That last game, I made a small misplay that I think most people would have made to end up not winning the game. You know, several turns down the line, and then the other three games were just giant forces.
Yeah.
So a little sad we didn't get to see how the deck actually played, but it felt pretty powerful, pretty fun, and while it's not quite my cup of tea since there's no Chandras in it. If this is something that you guys enjoy playing with the Devotion deck, I feel like this is a very powerful Nykthos deck, and you can do some pretty stupid things.
Yep, I definitely played against it at the Pro Tour, and my opponent on turn 5 played Stormbreath Dragon and Monstrous at the same turn to kill me. And
that's pretty good.
That was not fun from my perspective, but I'm sure he had a lot of fun.
I'm sure he enjoyed it immensely.
He did. Yeah.
So thanks everybody for stopping by this week and hanging out with us while we battled some Magic. Please make sure to let us know what you think in the comments. If you have any matchups you want to see, any critiques to the play or to even the decks. I know we're both always looking for new decks to play either in the videos or in tournaments. We go to IQs all the time whenever we're not traveling to big tournaments. So and we do read all the comments. So again, feel free to let us know what you guys think or if you have any suggestions.
Good, bad, or ugly, we will read them.
we read all the bad and the ugly ones too. So.
Yeah. Yep. But yeah, thank you for watching, and check us out again next week as well.
Yeah, see you later.